Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bree, and today's video is going to be my everything I read in March. I ended up reading a total of 8 books, which I'm really surprised about because I felt like I was in a reading slump, but I think I tricked myself, and this past week, which is April 4th right now, I did not read like anything, so I'm just kind of like, maybe it's April this year, I don't know. But anyway, so I read 8 books and I participated in the Backlist readathon, which was fun, and then I did kind of like a 24-hour reading vlog that didn't really work out as 24 hours, but I read a decent amount there, so I think it was just I had batched some like more reading in certain times, and then I didn't read as often throughout the month. But with that being said, I am happy with a lot of the books I read, and I want to share them with you, so let's get into the video. So the first book was a library book, so I don't have a physical copy, but I will put it up here, and that is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. So I have a video that I haven't released yet that I will be reading that within it. I read that during March, and it took me a while to get through. I think I read it over the course of like a couple weeks, just because I think filming a video, I like to film my videos like for a whole week and then just get them out, and this, I was trying a different method, and I just don't think I do as well with reading other books while I'm like recording other reading vlogs. So like I start to prioritize what needs to go out first, and then I forget about the book that I'm reading for like a secret vlog. So it took me longer to read this one, but I really actually enjoyed it a lot. So this is following a girl who, when she was young, her and her family fled this house because it was haunted, and then her parents wrote a book about it, and she's had to like live with the consequences of people reading this book her whole life because she was written into a book she never like agreed to be a part of. And so eventually her father passes away, and she finds out that he still owns this property, and she's gifted this property from him, or gifted, I guess he willed it to her. And so she goes to figure out what happened during that time because she doesn't believe everything that was in the book. It's like dual timeline, but not really dual timeline. So part of it is that it's written as like the book itself that was written by her father. You're reading like excerpts from that, and then there's her present day at the house figuring out like what's going on. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done, and I liked the suspense, and it has like this supernatural element to it because it's like a haunting story. And so I really enjoyed it, and I thought that like Riley Sager keeps you on your toes during the whole thing, and there were like parts of it that I think could have been done a little better. The character herself I found to be a little hard to relate to because she was so like caught up in her belief that this story is not true, that like sometimes I felt like we just kept coming back to like, my parents are liars, my parents are liars, and I just was like, kind of could have done with a little less of that. So it was a 4-star for me, but I will definitely be picking up more Riley Sager in the future. I know that some of Riley Sager's books have been kind of hit or miss, but I'm excited to read more by him and just like figure out what I like from him. And I think he has a new release coming out called The House at the End of the Lake or something in July, I want to say. So I'm excited to like pick that one up and give it a try, and there's a couple other ones I'm looking forward to reading. So yeah, that was my first Riley Sager, and I think it went pretty well. So the next book I read as part of my 24-hour reading vlog, and this was probably one of my most anticipated books, graphic novels, since I've gotten it and heard about it, and that was Garlic and the Vampire by Bree Paulson, and it 100% lived up to the hype for me. This is about Garlic, who is part of this little town of other vegetables and this witch, and they go to the market and they sell their goods there to the local townspeople, and they discover that in the castle up on the hill there's smoke coming, and they believe that a vampire is there, and Garlic is sent to take down the vampire and save the town. And it's just like the sweetest book. I read it really quickly, and I will like continue to reread this just because I loved it so much. And her artwork is just so good. It's perfectly just sweet, but also has this like darker look to it. I don't know how to describe it, but this style just really speaks to me, and the characters were so cute, and I just like, I have nothing but good words to say about this, even though it's like hard to not, I don't want to go too much into it because it's so short. It was the perfect thing to start off that reading vlog with, and just the perfect thing to read, and I will read it over and over again. And I think that she's coming out with another one called, I don't know what it's called yet, but she's coming out with another one. And I guess this started from like a webcomic or something she was drawing about Vlad the vampire, and it then turned into this book. And so I'm so excited that this is going to be more than one book, because loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. Would highly recommend if you like middle grade cute graphic novels. This one. Pick it up. Love it. Have nothing but good things to say. So the next one I read because I wanted to get through something quickly, and this is like one of the shortest books I have, and it was gifted to me by my sister-in-law, and it is A Psalm for the Wild Built, a Monk and Robot book by Becky Chambers. And this was one that I literally knew nothing about. I was joking with my Brie, my sister-in-law, and she was like, I really didn't sell this well to you. And I was like, no, I just had literally done no research. I just was like, it's a robot doing robot things. And yeah, not that at all. Was not a robot doing robot things. So it's about a person, and they are like in this job that they don't really enjoy, and they decide to become a tea monk. And so they go into training as a tea monk, and then they're going around doing tea monk things. Like, basically they like sell tea to people, and like it's based on like what that person needs. And then they find they're still not happy, so they decide to go like deep into the woods by themselves. And there they meet a robot, and the robot is called Mosscap, so it's Dex and Mosscap. And basically they're just talking, and they kind of talk about like the differences between humans and robots, and there's like history about them. And it's a really, really slow plot book. So like if you or someone who just really likes to like have character development or learn about characters and you don't need a lot of plot, this could be a really good book. I'm not a huge science fiction reader, so I think it could have been a higher rating for me if I was more into science fiction. But that being said, I think in my video I said it was going to be like a 3-star. But this definitely, I think now that I've reflected on it more of a 4-star for me, because the conversations that they're having in this are so well done and powerful. And it's just like about what it means to be human, and it's beautifully written, but also beautiful like meaning behind everything. And it's just like, I think the plot is not about anything other than just like exploring what it means to be human. So it feels very like philosophical, this book, and it's going to be a series, and so I'm interested to get more into the series and see more of the world, because I feel like you're just beginning to like see this world. And then another thing I will say, if you're looking for some non-binary representation, this is a really good one, because it's just about Dex as a person and what it means to be a human. Like, it's not focused on gender or anything like that. Like, it's just part of the world. So if you want something that is just like, I guess, not about the struggles of being non-binary, and you just want like a story that is just a person who is non-binary and that's just who they are, and that's not like, it's part of the story but it's not the main focus, I think this could be a really good option for you. And I think that the robot and Dex, like their dynamics are really, really cool to see. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. It's a really quick read. It's a total of, let's see, 145 pages. So like read this in maybe 2 hours, and I really enjoyed it. I will be definitely picking up more. I think the next one's coming out this year. So yeah, and it's technically a novella, so it's not something that would take you long. But yeah, that's what I thought of it. It's 4 stars from me. So the last book I picked up for that 24-hour reading vlog, which ended up stretching a little bit longer, is The Tenant by Katrine Enberg. And this is a Danish detective story. So it follows Werner and Kerner, and they're Copenhagen detectives. And it's a police procedural, but it's like more dark and gritty kind of. So it's basically a woman is found murdered in her apartment, and her face has been mutilated. And then the police like come, and they're just trying to figure out what happened. So if you like police procedurals, this I thought was pretty good. But if you're not into like super dark, like they definitely go into detail about the whole crime scene and like about what happened to this woman, because it is a police procedural. So you're seeing like literally the whole process of the investigation. So if you're someone who gets squirmish or you just don't want to read about those things, this might not be the one for you. But this was my first foray into like Danish like mystery books, and I thought it was well done. I think I gave this a 3.5 star. I think the mystery itself, it wasn't like the most original thing I've ever read, but I do like myself a detective story, and they tend to be around 3 stars for me. So like in that case, I was satisfied with what I got, and I picked up the next one, which is Butterfly House. Though if you're someone who this would bug, because it bugs me, is for some reason they translated The Tenant, like The Tenant was translated, which is the first book in the series. The second book in the series has not been translated, but they translated Butterfly House, which is the third book in the series. But according to people, it just is like a time gap, but it's not like you needed to read the second one. But it just annoys me that they, like, why skip the second book and then go to the third and fourth and translate those? It just makes absolutely no sense to me. But yeah, this is just following them, and they're both going through their own stuff. I will say one of my critiques of the book is the series is called Werner and Kerner, and that's the detectives' last names. And Werner is male and Kerner is female, and you really like only get the male's perspective, Werner's perspective. You get some of Kerner, but like very minimal. And you get some other people's perspectives too, but again, very minimal. And it just focused on him so much. So I'm hoping like in the next book we get to see more of Kerner, because like if your series is about both of them, I just feel like they should get more equal like time to like learn about their characters so that we can connect with them. And I didn't feel like I got that from Kerner. I only got it from Werner. And there are also a lot of like sex stuff in here, like sexualization of people, and his like thoughts are always about sex, but it like makes sense, I guess, for his character. But it just was something that was like added that I just felt like I didn't need from the story. But I don't feel like it was so much that it like completely took away from the story. So yeah, I gave this 3.5 stars. I think if you're looking to like branch out to read like translated works of mystery, this could be one to try. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this. Okay, so this is a book I read literally in one day, and it's a new release, and I loved it. I think if you haven't seen my reading vlog, I'll link it. This is probably my new favorite book of the year so far, and that's The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. So I felt like Simone St. James was going to be a writer that I really enjoyed. Like, I've picked up now 1, 2, 3 of her books, and I said every time I've mentioned in a video that I feel like this is going to be an author I really enjoy, and I guess I know my tastes, because 100%. This was so good. So this is a dual timeline, and the first timeline is from 1977, and it's following this woman who is accused of murdering 2 men, and she is then put to trial and is acquitted for this, and it's following like what actually happened and everything leading up to this trial and after. And then you're in 2017, and in 2017 Shay is a crime blogger, and she sees this woman in her hometown and decides to interview her, and the woman agrees, and so they are doing this interview at the woman's mansion, and things start to be creepy and go wrong. And so basically Shay's trying to figure out, is this woman a serial killer and was just acquitted, or is there something more going on here? And yeah, so you're following 2 perspectives but 2 timelines as well, and I just find it so interesting. And you know from the beginning that this woman was acquitted, so that's not anything spoilery, but I just think for me it was like the perfect amount of eeriness for one, and tension. But I really enjoy a dual timeline. I think that I like to see what led up to the events. For me, that like adds a lot to a story, and I think that it was perfectly timed for me of like when things would flip back and forth. And yeah, I just felt like it had this overall eerie vibe that just put me on the edge of my seat, and I loved everything about this. I don't really have any critiques on it. I don't know if everyone will love it as much as I do, but I would highly recommend it, especially if you like a slower burn mystery, a like overall eerie, and some like supernatural elements. I think this would be a really good book to pick up. I enjoyed both of the characters, even though they're flawed. I feel like I could connect and understand them really well, and the creepy factor in this is just like, it got me really good. So I'd highly recommend. And it's also not so gruesome that I felt like uncomfortable reading it. It was just like, again, perfect amount. So 5 out of 5 stars for me. And if you want to like know my more condensed and, well, not condensed, my more full thoughts on it, you can watch my reading vlog. So the next book I read because I wanted to participate in the backlist readathon that Liv and Sid and Jacqueline hosted. And this was towards the end of the month, and I went to my wedding shower with Noah. We went and had that in Michigan. And then we had friends over this last weekend. So I didn't end up participating a lot in the readathon that I wanted. I also have a reading vlog that you can watch if you want to. But I basically read 2 books for it, and this is the one I picked out for your shortest backlist, and that is The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. And this is one that I've been highly anticipating as well. It is a graphic novel, middle grade, about a girl who learns the art of tea making and taking care of tea dragons. And again, 5 out of 5 stars. Middle grade graphic novels, I think, are just like for me, like 100%. So, first of all, this art style is so beautiful. There's 3 books in this, so I definitely will be picking up the other 2. This is like very wholesome. I think the cast of characters are so diverse and they're so accepted within this world. Like, they just are who they are, and that's like, I think it's something that like everyone just appreciates. And this is a lot about basically like preserving history and traditions, like passing down traditions, keeping them alive, but also like just about friendship and learning and caring for others. And it's so beautiful, and I actually cried at one of the scenes. And also, there is in the back a little chart of the tea dragons, and you can like read about each tea dragon and like what their like personality is, and how like their average weight and length, and what it says tea brewed by, like how their tea is brewed, and care notes about them. And it's just like so cute, and you like each person like bonds with a tea dragon, and that's like how they make this tea. Again, a really quick read. This one's only 60-ish pages. I don't know, I just thought it was like perfect, beautiful read. And if you're looking for middle grade graphic novels, this one and Garlic and the Vampire, I would highly recommend. I have 2 more books. This book is a little bit difficult for me to formulate an opinion on because I just really struggled with it. And again, if you watch that backlist reading vlog, you will understand a little bit more about it. But that's Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, and I really wanted to love this book. And there's so much I think that is like good about it. I just think for me, it was not a book that sat well with me. So, trigger warning here. If you are someone who doesn't want to read about rape and torture, like, I would not pick up this book. I did not expect, because you read I read dark books, I read mysteries, I read dark books. I was not expecting this level of dark, and things were gone into so much detail that I was so uncomfortable. Like, I had to go through, like, about halfway through this book, I had to decide, like, am I going to continue or not? Because I really was, like, upset. Like, I just felt so, like, I did not know if I wanted to continue. And I ultimately decided to finish it because the part of my brain that needs to know how the mystery ends needed to complete it. But it was very difficult for me. And I think if I had known how graphic and detailed this was going to be, I would not have read it. With that being said, that's why I can't rate it, because if you're someone who that doesn't bother and you can read this and get through it, the road this takes is so interesting, and I think it's well done, and the level of creepiness is there. Like, if you like very dark, creepy books, this is definitely a book that I think you could really enjoy. That being said, it was just levels too far for me, and I ultimately just like cannot recommend this book because of how uncomfortable I felt and how like I just really did not have an enjoyable time reading this. So I'm not sure, like, again, it's like I don't know how to talk about it because I don't want to say don't read it because I know a lot of it has to do with like my own ability to read this, but I know that there's also a lot of people out there that might not know that it was going to be this like graphic going in. And it's not just those scenes, it's also scenes of like everything. Everything is just done to like the darkest level, I feel like. So like I guess I haven't talked about what this is about. So this is following two women. One who's at the beginning, her husband is killed, and she starts to like learn like more about his death and is like thrown into this like what happened to her husband. But then also the sister of that girl it's following her perspective, and they both like end up coming together and they're swept up into this mystery. But like, so you're dealing with grief in that, and I feel like she does things to like a level that like really hits you hard. The way she writes is just like gets those emotions out of you. At least it got out of me. So it wasn't even like just those parts were difficult. It was like the whole book was just like I felt so heavy reading it. So that being said, I'm not going to rate it. I don't have a rating, and I can't say I recommend it or I'd not recommend it because it's not objectively, if I take my emotions out of it, it is not a bad book. It's really well written and it's a good mystery. But I can't be not objective about it because my thoughts and feelings are so heavy and negative towards this book. So, yeah. That's my long-winded reason why I can't rate Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. And on the last note, the last book I finished is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware, and this reading vlog has not gone out yet, but it will be in a reading vlog soon. And I read this, and I would say it is a 3.5 star for me. It is like just a middle of the road mystery in my opinion. So this is an isolated setting. It's following this girl Lo as she is a journalist, and she is brought onto this like, I say yacht, I guess it's like a cruise ship, but it's not a huge cruise ship, it's a smaller one where these really rich people get to go on the cruise. And then one night she's in her cabin and she hears a body being dumped in the cabin next to her, and she sees blood. And then the next morning she reports it, but then nothing is found. Like there's no evidence this woman was on board, and no one believes her. And so she's like kind of swept up into what happened to this woman in cabin 10. And it all goes from there. So it's an isolated setting. So if you like isolated setting mysteries and thrillers, I think this could be one for you. I think that it's just one of those books that like it's probably not going to be super memorable for me, and it's just like it was good but not my favorite. And I thought there's some anxiety representation in this, and I thought that was really well done actually. But other than that, like I just couldn't really connect with the main character, and there was just something about it that just didn't hit home for me, and I can't exactly tell you what that is. So it was a 3.5, and I feel okay about it. I feel fine, but I'm not like new favorite, or it's probably something that I could probably forget I even read it in a while. But that being said, I do want to try more Ruth Ware because I think her writing style is something I like, and I read a lot of 3-star mystery thrillers, and I like having those options where I just read something that I know is probably gonna be good, even if it's not my favorite. I like having those like, I guess, comfortable authors, and I think she could be one for me. So yeah, that was the last thing I read in March. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, if you want to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it. And I'd love to know what you read in March. I think March and April can be like tough reading times because it's just like spring is here, you're starting to get out of like winter and like get back outside, and things start getting busy, and summer's almost here. So I know that it can be a struggle for people, and that's totally fine. But yeah, if you want to tell me too what you're planning on reading. I'd love to hear it, and I will see you next time.